Okay, Mayra, so it looks like this one is a little bit different than the one you did before because this one is a hypothesis test instead of being a confidence interval. So just like before, you can calculate that z-statistic by using the stat and then calculators and then normal calculator. But if you run the hypothesis test in StatCrunch, it's going to give you all of that information too. And it gives you all of the information. You don't have to actually, crunch any numbers to find the z-statistic. You don't have to crunch any numbers to find the p-value. It all just does it for you. So I'm just going to show you how to do that because I've already shown you how to do the calculation for the normal value. So let's talk about the hypothesis test. So for the hypothesis test, you're going to do stat. Again, we're doing proportion stats because we're dealing with proportions here. And we're doing two sample. And again, we only have a summary. We don't have all of the data. So we're going to do a summary. So we're going to put all this in like we did before. In this case, we have two groups, the experimental group and we have the control group. And I know it doesn't seem like a success, but unfortunately, 73 children developed the disease in the experimental group. So those are a number of successes because we're comparing how many children developed the disease out of the total 4,000. And then 106 in the second group, the control group, out of the 4,000. Oop. And I should have had 106 there. Okay, now we're going to run the hypothesis test. Now, I know this looks a little bit different from what you see over here, but basically if we want P1 to equal P2, we want their difference to be 0. And if we want P1 to be less than P2, if I were to subtract P2 from both sides here, we want P1 minus P2 to be less than 0. Okay, so it's going to look a little bit different than what you see when you state your hypotheses, but it makes sense if you go ahead and subtract and get the P2 and the P1 on the same side. So now all I have to do is click compute, and it's going to give me all of my information. So I have the different counts, I have my sample difference, I have my standard error, and then here are my z-stat and my p-value. So I hope that makes your life a whole lot easier for these problems. And again, try it out and then tell me if you have any issues.